This is Anne-Marie Leake, Vice President of Communications for ePayResources. Welcome to the Payment Space.
I'm pleased to welcome Dean Jenkins, Principal Strategist at Q2, to the Payment Space podcast, brought to you by ePayResources. This is being recorded live at Nacha's Smarter, Faster Payments 2024. I'm your guest host, Peter Davey, the Payments Jedi. Dean, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Peter. Always great to see you, as usual at these conferences.
So talk to me a little bit about what is your role at Q2 and sort of how is Q2 working to advance the instant payment space?
Yeah, so my role at Q2 is really to help financial institutions really create their go-to-market strategy. How do they leverage digital to compete and win in the market? Part of that strategy is, on the commercial side, is obviously payments is a big part of that strategy. As we looked at the new real-time payments capabilities, we saw a lot of opportunities to really improve the entire workflow of a payment. So it's not just the execution of the payment, it's what happens before the payment, what happens after the payment, how do we leverage the new capabilities within the message set, the new capabilities within the ISO 20022 message itself, and how we can really streamline and solve some problems that are in the B2B payment workflow. And that really aligns with our overall objective, which is really focused on the end user. How do we help companies really be more efficient and improve their processes?
That's great. So, obviously a lot of companies have been joining to receive payments on these instant payments networks, RTP and FedNow. You guys are focused a little bit more on the send side of things. How are you seeing the adoption of send side payments by your customers, mostly banks, and then some other customers, the corporates?
I think it's still early days for sure. I think everybody has to set up the infrastructure to connect to the new payment rails, and everybody's starting with receive, right, to get that infrastructure set up. That's starting to increase in speed with banks and credit unions getting connected to the rails, and then I think the timing is right to start introducing send into the equation, right? We're starting to get more and more banks and credit unions on the rails, and then everyone talks about, hey, I want to do send. I think everybody's starting to realize that the value there, right, in the send and how they can help their business customers or their consumers. So we're starting to see a pickup. We just went live with 3 of our beta customers with send capability for the end-to-end workflow. So it's ramping. It's going to take a little bit more time, but we're starting to hear more urgency in trying to solve some of these problems and leverage the new payment rails.
That's great. I know from a Q2 marketplace perspective, you guys have a lot of really cool tools that you can start to integrate with a lot of capabilities that banks and their corporates need. As you guys think about the journey for community banks and credit unions that are just starting and looking at how we can actually level up, if you will, on the instant payments rails, how do you think the work that you guys are doing will help them compete on both networks? Yeah,
we talk to community banks and credit unions all the time and say that, you need to be connected to both rails, right? You don't want to tell your members or your customers that you can't receive money because it was coming from one of the other networks. I think that by bringing solutions, helping them bring solutions into the market that solve those problems, they're now able to be on a level playing field with some of the largest banks and credit unions. And really what it comes down to is who can take advantage of the new capabilities and, the new payment capabilities and really offer something that's different. Businesses will say, wow, that's something that solves some problems that we haven't been able to solve before. And so I think technology can be an equalizer that, really everybody can get in the game. And we're a big part of that, right? We've extended our platform so that we can connect to different gateways and different solution providers. That's what we're really specialized in. And so just getting the technology out there where they can leverage it and go and compete and win where they want to win.
That's great. So as we sit here at Nacha's Smarter, Faster Payments 2024, what are some of the topics that are really piquing your interest here?
Well, I mean, obviously the hottest topic continues to be fraud, right? So everybody's, what do we do with fraud? I think there's some interesting conversations about fraud and Will real-time payments just increase the level of fraud? There's some belief that that's true. I personally believe that there's opportunities for us that real-time payments can actually be safer than what we're doing today. If you think about where the fraud's coming from, right? It's really coming from an authenticated user making a payment that they think they should make and they really shouldn't have, right? If you think about this end-to-end workflow where you have the biller and the payer on the same network, maybe you have some opportunities there to really reduce fraud in a number of areas. So that fraud is obviously a hot topic here. I think the other topics we're hearing, AI, right? That's a hot topic. Where does that play? Are we going to start using AI for like smart routing of payments? As an example, the other piece that we hear is small business. I actually have a session here talking about small businesses and how do we help our financial institutions serve them better, because they've been kind of left out historically, right? And so small business in this day and where we're all trying to gather operating account deposits for the banks and the credit unions, small business is a real opportunity if we can provide the different solutions that they need that are built for them versus them kind of being caught between a retail and a commercial experience. And so those are really the three hot topics I've heard around here.
Yeah, I think to your point around level playing field for a lot of smaller financial institutions, community banks, and credit unions in that mid-sized marketplace, really that SMB plus population, the smaller end of the middle market, a lot of the folks that are really underserved in the digital payment space today, I think that's a really great, ripe opportunity for a lot of them. So as you think about addressing the small business need, obviously there's a lot of fintechs addressing those today. How do banks start to work with fintechs to really drive adoption of SMB payments on the electronic payment rails?
I think it's really interesting with fintechs and how they're different, right? I heard a quote that I loved. It was, banks sell rails and fintechs sell use cases. And I think where the opportunity is, if you think about that individual type of business, what the fintechs have really done well is focused in on who's the business customer and what is the problem we're trying to solve. And so it's not like, hey, I have a horizontal solution that fits for everybody, and then you have to figure out how to use it at your business. And that's traditionally how we have done things. Now it's more outside in. It's what's going on at that business. What are their problems? How do we solve them and wrap some capabilities around the payment flow, right? So I don't have to, as a business, I don't have to understand all the jargon around banking, right? What's a CCD? What's a PPD? All of that pushes them away a bit. But now if you can say, hey, this is an easy way for you to collect payments, or we can help you with your accounts receivable, or we can help you with your accounts payable management, that resonates with them because that's a real problem that they have. And so I think, some of the stuff that we do is like, how do we take the mystique out of traditional payments that have been in the commercial space for years? And I think, wrapping these capabilities and really thinking about use cases is really a way that we can help the small business segment.
So for the some odd 8,000 financial institutions that haven't connected to real-time or instant payment rails yet, what's some advice that you guys would give based on your experience so far in this journey to those financial institutions as they contemplate how they join and what they should do?
Well, the first one is get going, right? To your point, start with receive, right? You have to get the infrastructure stood up, but don't wait. I think that, one of the things that we see is, like, I hear a lot is, well, there's not really a lot of send going on right now, but all of a sudden there will be, right? And we're part of that. We're pushing the envelope a bit of, hey, we want to really think about this holistic payment workflow. And what I would say is, if you wait, you'll be behind, right? It's going to happen. It's coming, right? And so there's all kinds of different use cases, whether they're B2B use cases or C2B payments or B2C disbursements that people are focused on and that we're starting to see adoption pick up. And I think you'll see companies like us, like Q2, some of the fintechs, like come up with some really creative solutions that are going to drive huge value. And all of a sudden, if you're not connected to the rails and you can't support those, you're going to be at a disadvantage.
So thanks so much, Dean. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast. It's great to see you, and have a great rest of the conference.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Great to be here.